Okay. Well, thank you for meeting today. All right, so last time we met, we were discussing your action steps of Turn and Talk, and I think that that really helped us out, especially when we started a new unit. When we started to show all the PowerPoints, especially after the students presented. I think if we kind of look at our calendar and we're working on the organization of the rest of the year, what would you say perhaps our next action step be in order to make the date for the progress, for the exam?
In this case, I think, well, in terms of our AP Art History or
AP Art History.
AP Art History?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, starting next week, we'll be dealing with the arts of Asia. I would suggest that after we finish Asian modernism, we go into the review. That would be a perfect opportunity for us to assess where they're at, check for any failures of understanding, any holes in information.
And what?
Context. And then after that, once we review that, then that will allow us to go into the final phase of the contemporaries. The contemporary is pulling together all the sources.
Sure. And what method would you use for a review or a progress check? Would you use the AP Central?
Yeah, I think we should have them do the MCQs and the FCQs again, FRQs, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can do is isolate them into groups and then have them, like once we, we assess everything, find out what the holes are, isolate them into groups and then have them do the research to fill in some of those holes.
I think that's a really good idea.
We can monitor it just to make sure that they're actually filling it properly, but so if they go, oh, we got everything really right. What was it that they think there was one particular cathedral that they didn't know?
Right, there was, well, first of all, assessing, I think, looking at the overall progress exam, we were much weaker in architecture, and I think that we need to perhaps do something in regards to the vocabulary. Remember with that AP Art History book that I got on Amazon, they have the vocabulary, terminology. Perhaps we put something together that really targets the gaps in architecture.
Oh, that reminds me. I have the mock-up that I created of the history of architecture.
Oh, that's great.
Drawing.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm going to pull up their test scores right now.
So I have it here, and so basically the way that it's broken down, it's kind of a rough sketch, but it has the timeline, and then so it's Paleolithic, Neolithic, Mesopotamia, Greek, Roman, Islamic, Gothic, and then it's each of the developments, though, each layer shows the development of
Visually.
of what it was that makes it unique. So Paleolithic, post, and lintel construction.
This is a perfect
Mesopotamia, we got the corbelled arch, to the Greek, to the actual true arch, to the Roman, to the Gothic, Islamic, the horseshoe arches, and then it goes into the more three-dimensional things, the barrel walls. That's why this is kind of rough looking. Rose windows, so here we got flying buttresses, whatever, and then we get into the more modern.
Right. Okay, this is absolutely fantastic because it's visual. And what we can also do is simultaneously, if you remember when I sent you the video on the isms in art, I think that that also can give them a sense of style and related to, the visual that you're creating, especially in architecture, because they do incorporate architectural elements in that video. Looking at our scores with the MCQs, how did you feel were you comfortable where?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident that people are where they need to be. On the obvious exception. Actually, like he's getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think like right now it's just continue maintaining our pace and just make sure that we're filling in those holes when we find them, like the architecture.
Sure, and
I don't think there's anything. So far, they've done really well on ancient history, Paleolithic.
right,
They did really well on the Oceanic, right?
they did great.
It was Native
It was
the Americas.
The Americas and the also Romanesque. That one was very confusing for them. So I think that's where maybe we want to use an exemplar planning strategy, and this is a great video that I got from Teach Like a Champion. Although this is for math, I think what we can do is employ the clipboard and have this all prepared similarly, obviously with our content, but I kind of wanted us to both watch this because I think this could help us be more organized with our exemplar. Okay? So let's.
Right, so this is part one of our aggressive monitoring helper video. And this right here is my exemplar. I am going to be going into a fourth grade classroom, and this is the take comparing and ordering decimals. It has already been taught, and this is going to be the warm-up of the day, the problem of the day, a spiral. When a spiral these takes in through our problem of the day for sure. And what I've done is I've just created my exemplar, so I'm prepped and ready to go in there and actually do aggressive monitoring for her warm-up problem of the day. I have all of my labs written down, ready to go. I have done all the labs myself that I can do. I didn't do it on grid paper just because I want it all on one sheet, but one of the labs is using grid paper. I did that without it, but I still learned my decimals. And I've done everything there. And then I've also gone through each answer choice to see what misconceptions happened if they chose A, B, or C, since D is my correct answer.
Let me stop it right there. So when they're doing their presentations, right, we can already have this exemplar there to monitor.
Make sure they're hitting all the right points.
Right, and I think in purchasing that book, it already has the function, the context, all of that there. We just need to kind of organize it a little bit, like tweak it a little bit, so it aligns with each presenter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But also, they make a really good point here. It's not just what questions are they getting wrong necessarily, but if there is a misconception, right? If they're seeing, if everybody's putting, I see this symbolic content in these masks, therefore it must be African, and they're forgetting about, Oceanic, or they're forgetting about the Native Americas, then we can address that misconception. But hey, I recognize that you're all seeing that this is true about the symbolic content. That's not just true of this tradition, it's also true.
Right.
So you can identify where they're right about something, but it's leading them to the wrong place for something else.
Yeah, an example too of that, if you remember when we were talking about the entablature, and Abigail kept using the terminology incorrectly, and you went right in there and actually did a drawing to explain to her where the different,
Parts of the slide.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do now is kind of work on our exemplar, align it with our calendar. We've got a whole host of stuff to do, let me tell you. Look at this. So we're right now going to be working in Asia, which is your specialty. Okay, so you already have your PowerPoints already done, but I did look at Fleet's AP Art History, and this is a really great, look, it's got all the videos, it's got all the, and it's all sectioned into Southeast Asia, it's got West and Central.
There is one thing I'm going to need your help on.
Sure.
And that is not giving them too much information.
That's true. I think we need to really just look at
what is it that they need to know?
bulleted effects, and then they can, because we were starting to go off on little tangents, and it was just too much information.
This is a subject of which I am deeply interested in.
Yeah.
So I have to watch myself not to go on to like deep dives into it where it's not appropriate.
But I think this is really great, don't you,
Yeah,
for
this is really
keeping
nice to
it,
Block it out.
yeah. So this we can
We
incorporate.
should just
into-
print this out
I
now
know.
and give each of them a copy.
I think so. Yeah, so let's, you want to jot that down on Monday, have copies prepped of Fleet's AP Art History. Yeah, and have the exemplars and assigned presentations. So we know in advance who is presenting what slide.
I assume you wanted to go into this the same way we've been doing. I would start with a general overview, and then we assign the individual slides, and then they come and present. So we're going to
I
continue
think that
format.
works, don't you?
I think it's important.
And I also, I don't really love the group presentations because obviously we're always going to have one who's going to do the bulk of the work. So there are 40 slides in this unit. We
I think we
can kind of group it the way we did before, where they have 2 or 3
But I think
assignments.
we should also have the create the join.
Yes,
It's just too much for creating to do. And they need to be
engaged,
engaged in the academic aspect of it, not just the artistic.
correct.
Excuse me. I have a really fun project I wanted to go into design on.
Oh, I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great. Well, okay, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna shut my phone off because I think I'm probably out of power, but just to,
Basically, this is.
yeah, this is what we want to actually,
I have a mock-up of just these, like, the
tessellations?
yeah, just the different shapes that they need, and all they have to do is make a bunch of them, and then they can tile them. But the cool thing about them is once you cut them, you can tile them in a variety of different ways. You're
Right.
not just restricted to only one way.
right.
So they can have fun creating their own patterns,
I know that.
all with the same basic shapes, but everybody's by definition end up being different.
Yeah, sounds good. So, all right, just to, in closing, let's start, we'll work on our exemplar. This is pretty much, I love the way she formatted her exemplar on the clipboard, and we could be walking around and monitoring and having our questions already, you know, there and ready to address. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so,
Cool.
okay. Oh God, let me see.